Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Driven Wyld. Today we are having an interview with a couple of awesome creators. We got Budsoda and Mico, and we're going to be talking all about the common misconceptions you would find with ghost kitchens. So ghost kitchens are one of those topics that are always very heated for both customers and drivers, but there are some things that you don't really see from each side depending on your personal perspective. And I think there's a lot of transparency challenges. I think there's a lot of misconceptions overall. And today we have brought Mico on, who has had a very successful ghost kitchen in Houston at the time. And we are going to talk all deeply about it. So, with that said, we are talking about all of the misconceptions you guys would hear about ghost kitchens, what they tell you versus how it actually is, and everything in between. But before we do that, let's go over a quick disclaimer. The content of this video does not contain and is never intended to be legal, business, financial, tax, or health advice of any kind. This video is for entertainment purposes only. It is advised that you conduct your own research and consult qualified professionals before applying anything you find online. I also want to be clear that everything that we're going to go over is very market to market and case by case. And what applies to me and my market, or Mico and her market, or Budsoda and his market may not apply to you. So, with that said, let's get started. Mico, Budsoda, I totally ran the intro on you. How you guys doing?
Oh, that's perfect.
Pretty good.
I can't believe that was all one take, actually. I was like, hold on. I usually take like 4 or 5, and you guys see that.
Seamless. We're getting better. So thank you, Mico, for joining us again. This ongoing continuing series about ghost kitchens. Let's get cracking at the misconceptions about ghost kitchens, because a lot of people just think of the big national chains that have ghost kitchens versus a small business.
Exactly. A lot of people see only the restaurant side, where the meltdown turns out to be Denny's, or it's just wings at Chili's or something like that. But there's so much more to that. And that said, why don't we kick this off with a thorough reminder of who you are and your experience with ghost kitchens.
So I am Mico the entrepreneur, and thank you, Budsoda and Joe, for having me back on for another episode. I appreciate it. So pretty much, I started Dough Beverage and in Houston, and I started out in my detached garage as a ghost kitchen, and eventually I moved to a food court in Houston, and then worked that for like maybe 9 months or so. And then I moved back to Orlando to grow my business. We're going to talk about other stuff, in the future, where I did buy a food trailer from One Fat Frog. But now I had to close my business because the company filed for bankruptcy and I no longer have my money or the food trailer. Right now we're talking about ghost kitchens. So let's go ahead and get started.
Absolutely. And if you guys also want to hear from those previous interviews where we go really deep into those subjects specifically, feel free to check the links in the description. Check back on all of the conversations we had, because we went pretty deep into all of these topics. And with all of that said, let's finally kick off the first subject: your customers versus platform customers. So, the difference between a customer you would receive from Doordash, UberEats, and Grubhub, or an order you would receive from Doordash, UberEats, and Grubhub, and an order that you would receive from, let's say, your own website or phoned in, or whatever that looks like, however you receive those orders, is who actually has that customer relationship. Because at the end of the day, they may have ordered your product, but the relationship is not about your product. It's on the platform. You don't have, or you don't have anymore, better stated, the privilege to contact the customer and say, hey, don't work with DoorDash, Uber Eats, or Grubhub. You could order directly through me. Or let's say you don't have an order and they like their relationship is with the customer in customer has the relationship with the platform, not the brand. Yes, they got the brand through you, but the customer is ordering, their information goes into DoorDash, Uber Eats, Grubhub. And a lot of restaurants have had problems with that in general, really, because at the end of the day, they want to know who's ordering from where, what, and how they should proceed marketing wise. And that's kind of a big deal.
DoorDash used to give you the actual number and the full address of the customer and even the email. They don't give you any of that information anymore. They give you the spoof information, and you'd have to reach out to the customer yourself to get that information. You can't just reach out from a marketing standpoint as far as that goes. So the only way you can market through the apps is to staple like a QR code or your website to the bag to try to get them to go through you instead of these platforms, which, the whole draw of the platforms, it's convenient all in one place, and they can look at many restaurants versus just yours, because maybe they want to buy drinks from Dope Beverage, but they want to buy meals from another place.
I remember when I first started the ghost kitchen in the garage, I was not able at the time to have people like direct sell to customers. So I had no other choice but to get on the platforms. So those customers were not my customers. And then when I moved to the food court, I eventually got off the apps gradually. I stopped DoorDash, but I was kind of still on Uber Eats. But then I created like a web page through Square. I was using Square POS system. And I created a web page where it was online ordering, but they had to pick up. And if they decided to have something delivered, it would be through Uber Eats. But then I eventually got off of Uber Eats and it was just pick up only. And, for some people that was okay, because to be honest, you really don't want to have a funnel cake, because I had changed my menu. You really don't want your funnel cake being delivered, because by the time it come out the grease, it's kind of hard, within 5 minutes. It's not as fresh. Those customers from the online webpage were my customers. And I had the option to be able to do email campaigns, but I know how I am when I'm bombarded by, emails that I don't want and I probably won't read. And I was like, well, I'm not going to do that to them. So I like having an online ordering page where customers can be able to pick up and, get things delivered. But even with the delivery fee, it was a little bit different. So, I like that I didn't have to pay 30% with the apps, that I was able to either put the charge on the customer, or I would pay $1.50 of it. So I like that part, or do like a spend $20 or $30 and they get delivery for free. So that's what I liked about the Square POS system.
That's an important thing to note too, is that you weren't, yes, Square, like it's good, like you were using Square as a POS system, but the point of that was to convert a customer that was normally on DoorDash, Uber Eats, Grubhub, Postmates, whatever that looks like, and bring them to your platform, your web page, your brand, and have access to the information necessary to be able to market to them. Yeah, you did, like, you made choices, whether it was emails or whether it was an alternative form of marketing, maybe car magnets, whatever that looks like. But at the end of the day, that was your marketing to them. That wasn't DoorDash delivery, where people aren't paying attention to what you ordered. They're paying attention to the DoorDash brand. And that's the difference between a customer that is yours and a customer that is DoorDash's or Uber Eats or Grubhub, etc.
Yeah, I was always a fan of like text message kind of marketing, because then I get in the text preview. If it's something that interests me, I'm going to click on it, and then it's going to make me likely to go, complete that transaction, either go to the actual place or make an order. And I always like a deal. So, you say, hey, today only buy one, get one 50% off, custom tees or whatever it is that you're trying to propagate at the time. I always like that the fact that these platforms make it harder stinks, but getting them over to your space is very, very important. So that way, when let's say you put it on a DoorDash bag, here's my Squarespace, you get to save X amount of money, over food platform order, you can look up the rough average percentage or calculate it out and get them to put in their information that way, and you can campaign to them much, much easier. Yeah, email probably in this day and age is going to get ignored, but a text message campaign might not be. And even if not, if they're going through the platform, maybe you can get the platform or whatever to like give them push notifications saying, "Hey, today only 10% off the whole menu." So I think that's a great way to market. What do you think, Mico? Because I've seen the food trucks and stuff here do that.
Yeah, if you're able to afford to give discounts, I know, let's just say I love discounts, I love saving money, I love buy one, get one free. However, that's great on the customer side, but when you become the owner, when it's your business, it's totally different, totally different. And I didn't understand that until I became the owner. So I know, let's just go back to the apps real quick. I know when I had to do certain promotions on DoorDash and Uber Eats, it ate up my marketing money, because if you wanted to do special promotions for the customers so you could bring customers in to like buy your product, I mean, they take it out of your earnings and you're paying for that. So whether it's
Mhm.
buy one, get one free, spend $20 and get free delivery, whatever you promote on the gig apps, they're taking it from the back end. And by the time you do all this promotion, your weekly earnings from them plus the 30%, you be lucky if you get $3 or $5. And I'm not joking. Let me just say, whoever is watching this right now, and you're a ghost kitchen or a food truck or trailer, or you're just a small mom and pop, do not, do not. I know you want people to grab your items and buy your items. It's so much cheaper to promote on your own, like social media for free, than to do promotional items on the gig apps, because they take it out of your earnings. And by the time you get paid on that Monday, you're not going to have any earnings because all of that went to the promotions that you did.
So,
Don't promote
so
on the gig apps.
yeah. Okay, so instead of pushing it through DoorDash, Uber, Grubhub, like it costs you a lot more money to do buy one get one or 10% off or whatever, $20 no delivery fee because it chews at your earnings to them. You can instead um, go through social media if they're already loyal customers and they probably follow you, and you're gonna obviously put that marketing on your packaging when you get them delivered. You get them to come to say Square for your example, and you can promote through that, which costs you much much less money, and get them to order. Hey, save get the buy one get one free if you pick up through our website instead, which costs you a ton less money, and you still make a lot better margin versus the app taking 30% on top of that.
Well, it depends. You want to, and this is what I had to learn too the hard way. You want to take a product that doesn't cost you much. So if it's food related, you have to pick out something that's a lesser cost to make. So if fries are the cheapest thing on your menu, you probably want to do buy one get one free fries. Now that may work for someone who have kids. If you got 2 to 4 kids and it's buy one get one free fries, that works for that person. But if I'm the person coming in and it's just me, I may not want the buy one get one free fries. You want to choose items that are kind of, I don't want to say pennies to make, but cost the cheapest, because still, even though it's still lesser of you doing it that way, you don't want to do too many buy one get one frees or too many discounts
Yeah, you make
with
something
your
a loss
business,
leader
especially
that
getting started, because
you make something that's going to be your loss leader. It's
you're
going to
losing
mitigate.
money.
You said funnel cake, for example. Funnel cakes are relatively cheap and easy to make, and they're great when they're fresh in person. Fare is way overcharged for them versus what you could do for pickup as a person saying, hey, order pickup, it'll be ready at this time, and they're getting it right there fresh. And that's a great way to get people in versus your expensive beverages that have those expensive syrups you were talking about that are like $20 to $40 a bottle for those pump bottles, and they're very expensive versus something that you could do much, much cheaper. I mean, it depends on the cost of eggs, but that price is coming down, thank goodness. But like, you get what I mean.
Also, I was just cleaning up and I had threw a bunch of reward cards away. I had these reward cards for both beverages and donuts. So, or pastries. So if you bought a donut or if you bought like a funnel cake, every time you come in, you bring that card back and I will punch it. That's a good way too to do rewards instead of going a different. If you're not ready to go a different route for the rewards and promotions where you go online and you pay per month, you can get business cards type made promotions and rewards, and you give out one on the free. You punch one, the item that they purchase, and then you give it to them. Now it's up to the customer to bring it back, but you don't want to have it like I had even the different punchers. They were like different types, different styles of punches. So you can go and get, because you know how we are. You'll punch the card and be like, oh, okay, well, I got 5. I'm trading it in for my donut or funnel cake or whatever. So you, whoever is watching this, what you can do if you really on the budget and you don't have a lot of money, you can go and get business cards made. Come up with a creative idea of like buy 5 and get the last one for free, or buy 3, or whatever it is. And I had one for beverages and I had one for the donuts.
Both places here are 6 to 12. Usually 10 is the median. That I typically see for regional or smaller chains around here that have maybe at least 2-3 shops, and they tend to do it that way. But that gets you to return in person, and you're going to be loyal to them. Oh, I get my free donut today, or I get my free coffee today, but you're going to buy that other thing anyway. That's where you make money. And it's a great loss leader, very cheap, very efficient, like you're saying, to do. I love that idea. Do a punch card. If you can get that person in there in person, it's going to make them come back. And then if they are ordering online, hopefully they're going through your website, so it mitigates cost. And you can
website or app,
yeah. If it's through the gig app, so be it. But like, don't think of your business, I'll give you business. But
no,
like,
I meant like your app. Like if you're designing your app with your loyalty program, that was actually something that
yeah. Okay. Yeah, you could get an app to do your loyalty program, but honestly, I think that cost-wise, it's probably not efficient until you're a little bigger. Half dozen stores I can think of, but like a lot of these places still have the old school punch cards, and that's very cheap to do. Like, it's not hard to go to a local print shop and say, hey, I want 100 of each of these made. How much can you help me with? The print shop down here was surprisingly cheap. Like, what used to be the UPS store across here is now Buffalo Wild Wing. They went out of business and they were like twice the cost. And then their print quality down here was super high quality compared to these guys. So I think that's a great way to do some marketing, Mico. I do love that idea.
You guys brought up the concept of buy one get one free earlier. This is me speaking to me. I am, by the way, before anybody gives me shit over this, I am probably the cheapest person in the world. I will only buy things if they're on a deal. Like it doesn't matter what they are. But I am also very much the person to be like, wait, I'm not going to lower the cost of my products. I don't negotiate with terrorists unless I absolutely have to. So if you're like operating like one of the biggest deals that I see that happens in my area that I actually partake in. Yes, I did say it like that, Mico. I stand by it, by the way. I don't negotiate with terrorists. That also said, I make sure that like one of the things like I'm always there for when my local Publix gets overstocked on Cheez-Its. And what they do is that they are like 2 for $6, 2 for buy one, get one, etc. that's when I'll buy. I will not touch it otherwise because they'll get overstocked. And what do? They then they'll allow the buy one, get one. Same concept. Only it's really to mitigate your losses rather than try to get more product out there. So in the mind of the customer, they're getting a good deal from a restaurant that actually does really good deals and they make money, et cetera, et cetera. But in your mind, you're just trying not to waste the garlic bread dough that's a little too close to being expired.
A lot of ghost kitchens have the idea where they just do things that are quick and efficient and a lot of pre-made things. So if it's like a week of expiration and it's good for a month, the
Which
last
is
week you're
why I
going to try to.
don't think that buy one, get one is going to be good for a ghost kitchen because they're not typically, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's something I'm not seeing about this. If you're dealing with ghost kitchens and you're dealing with products that aren't as perishable as the potatoes you just peeled or whatever is coming close to the expiration date in the back, maybe don't push the buy one get one if you don't have to. But again, that's me. I don't negotiate with terrorists, and I am a very big proponent of my price is my price, and that's the end of it.
What do you say to that, Mico?
So
it's a heavy term. I'm sorry. I get that.
Well, I want to go back to the marketing before what we were talking about before. So I would say another cost-effective marketing tool will be either window decals or clings if you can get them to stick. I didn't get them to stick for my car. They would not. I followed all the instructions. It didn't work for me. Maybe I did something wrong. I kid you not. They did not work for me.
Because it's interesting because I was
the car magnet route.
Yeah, I get that. I was just thinking about that. I'm getting my DSP rolling, and one of the things I'm thinking about in terms of recruiting drivers is actually putting a window decal in some of the restaurants I partner with. But if that doesn't work because they don't stick, am I the is that going to be a problem for potentially onboarding drivers or getting my name out there?
I was gonna say a lot of restaurants and convenience stores do that these days. Maybe it was just a company you use and try someone else. Find out who makes them for most of the restaurants and the convenience stores in your area and try to contract to them instead. Because if you just go through some random
question in itself. What brand were you using?
I don't want to say that. I'll email
Okay. We'll text about it. We'll find the quality window decal product to potentially partner with, so that way we don't give out slander or free ads. I get it.
Okay, yeah. Yes. Let's not get sued here.
If you get the window decals, I did that of the window. That makes a difference, I think. That's just my opinion. Yeah. I don't know.
Bright, flashy advertisement with your special. It doesn't even have to be a 2 for a special or buy get one. You can advertise your price.
But if
with
you're
the
going to
picture of the stuff.
say you're for windows, yeah, but that's not my budget right now. So my budget right now is, car magnets. So it was a video going to come out on my channel about that, but I eventually went with a different company and I purchased car magnets which are more durable. They stay on your vehicle, and I'm having a better experience now. So, if I had the choice between getting window decals or magnets all the way. However, if you want, make sure to just wait. Because you'll be frustrated unless you know how to install the window decals correctly. I followed the instructions. It did. not work
Hey,
for me.
Mico. I
Yeah,
think
your internet choppy.
your
I even
internet
went to
got
go wash the
really.
car. I spent
Mico, you're
$14 and stack up your money and just get your windows wrapped. Like go to an actual company, unless you know how to wrap windows. Just get your windows wrapped.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Like those wraps with the little see-through holes you can put on your back window. So like you look out your mirror, you can see out of it. Be sure to check your local laws and regulations, guys, because they're not legal everywhere. Like Florida and Texas are probably fine, but like I know New York is a big no-no. They will ticket you. So it is a good way to advertise, though. I know exactly what you're talking about. Like you can get a wrap
Really?
instead. Yeah, yeah. A lot of states are strict on that. New York, it's like it's it's technically a law, but it's a gray area. It just depends on how the officer's feeling that day. If they wanted to screw up people and give them a ticket or not, they need their numbers. Most of the time they leave them alone, but I have seen people pulled over and getting a ticket from it.
Yeah, one of the things I would say is number one, everything's market to market, case by case. So that's first and foremost. But second, I would try to go for something that doesn't obstruct your view as a driver. And in most cases, they'll pretty much like keep it,
Yeah,
you're running.
Yeah, the mesh one I'm talking about, like if you're driving behind, you can read it and you can see whatever it says on it. A lot of people just do flags and stuff. It might be their company logo and stuff like that. But at the same time, like you can see through. Like you can remove your mirror, you can see through it fine. But police don't view it that way. Like the government doesn't view it that way as far as a revenue standpoint. Even if it doesn't obstruct your view. Don't get like a solid one that's going to completely block your back window. No.
Well, first
Hopefully,
off, you should never have that to begin with. Like, in
a
my
lot of people
opinion,
do.
they shouldn't. I never said they should. I never said they don't. I said they shouldn't. But my point is that law enforcement doesn't have a problem with you like advertising on your door or on the back of your car. Your HOA might. That's been one of the biggest problems with my HOA, actually. It's why I don't advertise on my car, is actually they are anal, and I mean anal, about anything commercial ending up on your vehicle, whether it's your business, somebody else's business, a commercial vehicle in general. If you have a cargo van, nope.
Yeah, how dare you have a job and have a business?
Nope, no, live somewhere else. If you want to have a business like that, do it anywhere else. We're not doing it here.
Sorry. That's why I'll never ever live in an HOA. I could not deal with anal Karens again over something petty like that. Oh, it devalues your house that it says your business logo on the side of your cargo van or your vehicle. Get out of here. Come on, really? Like I get it where maybe if it's like you do pest infestation and like it's always seen in the neighborhood, it could be a detractor. But if it's just like something benign, like, oh, here, I'm running my delivery business, it's like, how is that bad? You see FedEx and UPS and Amazon every day.
It doesn't matter. The HOA makes it very clear that no commercial vehicles of any kind, whether it's your local business, whether it's your cargo van or whatever, that is not allowed to be parked on our property overnight or long term under any circumstances.
It's funny also because there was a person on my property who had a student teacher, like they taught kids how to drive and like had a student driver business, and they were doing pretty well with it. But when they came home, he had to cover the vehicle in order for it to stay on the property so he could go home. But then they still got a bunch of Karens bitching about it. And eventually he just sold his place and left because he was tired of it.
Yeah. Well, like covered vehicle makes it look like what's going on there. That's why I don't mind the magnet idea because you could just take them on and off every day. And then Karen HOAs really couldn't do much about it because you remove them every time you get out. But like, I'm sure they'd still try to raise a stink about it. Oh, you're pulling in and out with the logos. It doesn't look good still.
Shut up. Shut up.
You
What
could
is
always
your
wait to put the
HOA?
magnets on. You
Well-
could go to a gas station out of the neighborhood. I do
Oh,
like the
I'm glad
magnets.
I don't have that issue.
You don't have an HOA in your
Yeah.
building?
No, I'm at an apartment complex.
I just figured there would be an HOA in the apartment
So
complex.
A lot of apartment buildings are like, they're not condos, but they still have an HOA, and you still have to abide by all these rules and regulations, and they worry about how long your vehicle sits in a parking space for. Let's say you got an out of town job.
Oh,
No,
that's
We have a
right. You're
leasing
rent.
office.
That's right. You're renting in
But they don't-
comparison to me. Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Even these rental units have HOA type
Yeah, I'm renting.
rules nowadays. So, like, for example, let's say you had an out of town job and you were gone for a week at a time, and they have this rule that says, oh, you can't be in your parking spot in front of your apartment. You have to go to some long term parking that's out of sight
Oh,
instead. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot of those kind of things. You know, that's what I worry about. Is some rule like that
Well-
that will give you a hard time. You know, everyone look up the rules to where you live and the laws in your local area. That's why we have that disclaimer.
yeah. It's funny that you mentioned that because my stepfather just moved into a neighborhood with a fairly active HOA community, and I'll tell you what, he loves it. Like, he is very happy that he's not the one that has to paint his house and has to be the one that gets his lawn maintenance done. But I am very much of the proponent of my house, my choice. I want to make my own decisions in my own home and do things my way. Some people are fine with whatever because they're renting, it's not really their property anyway, or that like they just don't want to be bothered with the day-to-day activities and they're not really looking to be in business for themselves anyway. I am anal. I need to be a control freak about everything. And
Yeah. Most HOAs aren't that way, though. They're here. You have to do the day to day,
Are you
but
a
we
Leo?
also have all these stipulations to where
yes, actually.
they don't want a work vehicle parked in front of your home, even if they're there to do said work.
You
And it
are.
they have to go park elsewhere and then come to your house with a cart or something. It's kind of crazy in my opinion. What some of these places are like that. But we're getting off topic here. What's the next point we got here, Joe? Because I think we've been over the marketing aspect of the hammer.
Yeah, I think we did, but either way, yes, I am a Leo Mico. I'm August 11th.
Oh
so,
wow, hit it on the head. Look at that.
yeah, this is too funny. We're ordering from converting customers. Let's work on the next one. Work from home ghost kitchens are dirty. I think we did a couple of stories specifically about this.
Yeah.
What, like, how many different stories we did about literal houses and their cleanliness about it. First off, it's case by case. You're looking at that house from the outside. If you're a work from home ghost kitchen and you're a driver, you don't really know if it's actually clean in there, and that's kind of the problematic part. But at the same, first off, if you've ever questioned it, like the same people that bitch about that, I challenge them to ask the manager to see what's in their kitchen. Either they won't let them because it goes against the policy or whatever, or health code standards, or they just don't want to show you how dirty it actually is. It's
A lot
so
of
funny to
actual
me.
restaurants are disgusting, and I've worked in a few that were awful when I did. There was like a cantina up where I'm from. I'm not going to say exactly where and which one, but like my buddy worked there, and I went to pick him up, and I never actually walked in there, but it's super popular amongst the crowd, among up home. They love that place. You can see the kitchen from open view, and you can see the black soot on the back of their kitchen panel, like what's supposed to be stainless steel, was
Yeah.
disgusting. It's like, I'm like, bro, is it that bad? He's like, well, we have to be out at certain times when we close, no matter what. He's like, he wasn't closing this shift, but like most of his shifts were closed, and they don't care. Drop what you're doing and you're done. And they don't want them to try to be cleaning during rush. And I'm like, I can't believe people eat in there. And I looked up the violations, and certainly enough, like buildup was one of their most consistent violations. I'm surprised the hood doesn't catch on fire because the hood will get clogged with that. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is like your local restaurant can be as bad or worse than anything you could think of at home. And you could look for signs out front. Like if your windows are dirty, it seems unkempt, there's loose trash everywhere, the bags are not secured, they're not in a dumpster or a can. Those are probably signs that it's not well kept inside. Now, if things seem neat, orderly, the smell is pleasant, you don't smell that musty or um, rotting food smell. That's the best I can describe it. It's probably
Yeah,
clean.
it's funny that you mentioned that because I remember this one restaurant that I picked up for Grubhub for. I forget what the name of it is, or really, I don't want to say because I don't want to get sued. But holy shit, did I feel horrendous just entering the facility. The outside, totally fine, no real problems. It's just you could tell they took a more naturalist approach to the front and back. Like they're trying to make the outside like eating in the garden kind of vibe. And that's where the parking was. And it feels like you're entering this garden. And once you entered, oh my God, have I felt this just thinking about it.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
I had a Chinese restaurant that was it got bought out by new owners and they cleaned it up since. But like the old ownership, like they had everything garrisoned off because of Rona, but you couldn't see nothing. Everything was plasticed off, and they made sure you couldn't see in the kitchen.
This is where it got real interesting. As I'm walking, first of all, the soles of my shoes are like slightly sticking enough to the
Yep.
ground, and there is a window to the kitchen, but it's like as I looked there, I swear to you, there was a roach that just kind of walked across without an issue. Yeah. And like I couldn't touch anything because I don't know what it was about the vibe or the air in this place, but it made me want to just withdraw and conceal myself. Like I couldn't. This is how I was standing. That's how sticky and gross it was in there. I did not feel comfortable being in that location.
This restaurant was similar, minus the roaches. They had like those freezer curtain or the cooler curtain ones. You know what I'm talking about. Like the little, they separate each little piece, and those were there's the translucent. Eventually, they got where you couldn't barely see through them, and they finally took those down. But the walls, and where you were walking in and out, and the sidewalks outside were all black and greasy. You could smell that pungent, rotting grease smell. Like, you ever been to a place where the truck just came and cleaned out the grease trap and how horrific that smelled? It's like way worse than a septic. That's what this place was like. And it's like, if you smell these bad smells, it's probably a dirty place. And I think that people need to understand that just because it's out of a home doesn't mean it's gross. And you probably want your home to be relatively clean. Like, look for the obvious signs because there are restaurants that are gosh awful. Even your favorite national chains have big problems. I'd rather smell a bleachy, chlorinated smell versus that disgusting smell because at least it means they're trying to clean it up.
No, I
know that some people hate the bleach smell, but like I'd rather smell that than anything else because it means they're trying to clean.
When people came to my detached garage, I mean, it was so like I can't even explain it because me and my best friend, we actually kind of like put it together. But every time a driver came to pick up, they were like, wow, like they would look around and be like, oh my gosh, you know what? I'm gonna tell my mom or my dad about this, and I'm gonna have them to create something like this. Because I had the TV on the wall, I had the refrigerator, I had the little sink, I had the freezer, it was just really nice. It was not, and I had wallpapers on the wall, and it was just inviting. I'll say it like that. It was very inviting. I don't know. I mean, I'm a Virgo, so it's all about organization for us. And I know I'm calling out signs and stuff like that, but it's truth. It's truth
Neat
to like signs and personalities.
NCO, neat, clean, organized. That's what you did,
Mhm.
and that's what made people feel invited. So, like, you could do the presentation too. So you had like nice wallpaper up, a TV playing, whatever. It could just be your menu. It could be, a TV show or whatever playing, the sports playing, depending on your kind of business that you're going for. And that's that's like makes people feel invited, and like us drivers are the biggest word of mouth. So if you're having delivery drivers, we're going to tell people about your business, or hey, people should copy this idea, or they should patron your business because it's nice. So I do agree there.
And going back to the restaurants having ghost kitchens, just because they're in a restaurant, trust me, situations can happen in the food court as well. So if your neighbor is nasty, sometimes that can carry over into your business. So you have to deal with, you know, crap from whether it's an ant or whatever, coming over into your business, because you have to realize you're a food court or you have a kiosk or something like that. So, it's just in general, I think
Yeah.
sometimes people don't realize that you can have issues in restaurants. And usually the health inspectors, sometimes they pop up twice a year, but they usually come once a year. And if
Mhm.
you never clean like daily, then it becomes weekly, you don't clean. And then it becomes monthly, you don't clean. And then you want to clean at the last minute when you think the health inspector is coming. You need to clean every day so it doesn't have a buildup. And
You,
that's what people don't realize.
there should be a checklist, a daily checklist, a weekly checklist, and a monthly checklist of things that you should do at those frequencies. You know, Obviously, you're not going to clean the corners of your rafters every day, but that should be at least a monthly
Mhm.
thing. And
Yeah.
Mhm.
just keeping up on the general maintenance helps a lot, because I've walked into
It
places
does.
where they definitely don't. Have you ever sat in the dining room of like a diner and you could tell they don't take care of it because you could smell it for one, but you could see that yellow grease everywhere. So they don't wipe down the walls, they don't clean those rafters, like I was saying, like they don't clean up. And you can see the yellow and the dang cobwebs in the corner. Like,
Yes, and dust
every
is
time
everywhere.
I finally, like, I didn't want to eat there, and I told the people I was with, I don't want to go. Oh, come on, this place is good. Fine. Almost every single time I end up getting sick. And I got a strong
Mhm.
immune system. I grew up poor. So I'd be cutting the mold out of things to, not waste. So the fact that I got sick is telling.
Well, I'll say this and then we can move on. When you go, let's just say in general, if you go to the bathroom of any restaurant and the bathroom is not clean, leave. Because if
Yep.
they didn't have time to clean up the bathroom throughout the day and you see tissue overloaded, they didn't sweep the floor, or they didn't clean the inside of the toilet, don't eat there.
Let,
That's
let,
an
let me
indicator
distinct
right
this
there.
one. Look for buildup over time. So basically, they're not doing their daily cleaning. Someone might have went in and trashed the restaurant being a jerk. You can tell whether it's just someone being a jerk and they trash the place, or it's long-term buildup. You see that crust, you see that black grime on the doors where you push your hand, and you can see the soap scum built up around the sinks. Like, you can tell when it's neglect and when it's just, someone just went in and trashed it. Because, like, go into your typical gas station or Walmart, and not, half the time the bathroom's trash, but you can still tell if they try to clean it because they can clean it 10 times a day, and 5 minutes after they clean it, someone goes in and wrecks it. So I will say, look for actual buildup.
No.
The smells are huge too, but if it's like 2 p.m. and they're not busy and they didn't clean up that trash bathroom yet, leave. I agree with you there.
It's a lot. It's a lot with, just making sure that you're not only just clean for yourself, but for the health inspector, because once they shut you down, that's it.
It's over.
It takes you a long time to get
I'm
back
sure
on
we've
track.
all seen the rescue shows that Ramsey and oh my god, Tapper.
I know you're talking about Bar Rescue or something like that.
Yeah. I just didn't want to say the names. Yeah, which Ramsey and Tapper do, and we've seen how disgusting those places can be. Don't be that restaurant, guys. and I will say, like, the ghost kitchens. Well, yes, we have one up where I am that they're known, like those people are known not to clean up after themselves well. Most of the ones I know of, like, that have a homestead setting, like, they went out of their way to build it like a commercial restaurant in their kitchen area.
Instead of like talking more about the things that are going to make me puke, let's talk about some of the other consequences that come from these like dirty places. Number one, we talked about the health inspector side, but what about, like, let's say somebody catches this on social media? Like, how many stories have we talked about specifically about restaurants or ghost kitchens that like have a messy front yard, or the kitchen is dirty, or there's a parody? Like, do not get me started about the parodies. I will lose it about the parodies. I don't like the fact that they're perpetuating a common like trope, but the trope came from somewhere. And the trope came from the idea that there are people that are being very dirty about their ghost kitchens, and their kitchen isn't that clean. And you know where that's going to go? It's going to go to TikTok. What happens when a TikTok gets a few views on that subject? It goes viral. What happens to your brand at that point? Everyone starts to look at it sideways, or it just doesn't exist at all by the end of the week.
Or you could have the opposite, where you could be in the non-ghost kitchen of a known established brand. I think it was a Popeyes in Detroit. There was literally roaches crawling everywhere in plain sight. Like, roaches usually don't like contact with humans. That means the roaches are used to humans. That's how bad the infestation is. And people are still sitting there waiting for your food like it was another day. And the dasher came in and she reported it to like Doordash and the health department. And obviously the support's like, would you still please complete the order? And she's like, are you kidding me right now? These apps just want you to complete the order no matter how disgusting the place is. And there's people who still don't care about how disgusting it is. They don't care if they see mouse droppings or obvious signs rodents shooted or there's flies in your pizza kind of places. They don't care. They still want their food. When I worked retail, I'm like, dude, a part of this place could be on fire and these people would not care. They just complained they couldn't access the area that was on fire. That's how people are, though. But like, yeah, it'll catch fire on social media and go trending, and generally most people will be disgusted. But then I've seen the same people.
Most people will be disgusted.
Yeah,
dude, are you not paying attention to Mico laughing at me being disgusted at this entire scenario and this entire
up in my home county? And they were closed down for like 3 months is how long it took them to clean up. And like by the start of the second month, people are like, I miss it. I want it to be open again. Why is it closed?
Shut up. No, you don't.
Like, the health department made them shut down for 90 days on purpose to make sure they cleaned it properly. Like a 90-day mandatory shutdown and deep clean. And they had to like replace some of the equipment is how bad it was.
Hey, well,
people still complain that it was closed.
Welcome.
And this went viral in my area. Like, it was everywhere on Facebook. Like, it was the first restaurant that got shut down by the health department mandatorily for 90 days. Because, like, we used to have the old buffets here, like the chain place, and the They built a new location because the first one, the hood caught on fire, like I was talking about earlier, and the new location hood also caught on fire. And they did not shut that place down. They just paid tens of thousands of dollars of fines every time the health inspector came every 3 months and seen it as a cost of doing business. By the time the second fire happened, obviously the insurance company said, no, that's neglect. We're not going to consider that accidental this time because you did this before.
Yeah.
So then they finally got shut down permanently, and there's a gas station there now. It got tore down, and that building was less than 5 years old. I think it was like 4 years old at the time. So 4 years of neglect, got that place caught on fire again, and got shut down. That's absolute insanity. Go ahead.
Make them suffer.
Wow. Well, wow.
I
Until
think
you
go ahead, Mico.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm still catching myself from not puking. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, the only thing I can say is, if you're gonna be a ghost kitchen out of your apartment, then you do have to have your whole house clean, not just the kitchen area.
Mm-hmm.
The great thing about when I first started, it was in my detached garage. So that space was clean. It was up, I kept it up daily. And then when I moved to the food court, I had to when you're an actual business, like in the brick and mortar food court, whatever, you have to have your red sanitizing bucket on the counter or behind, like it needs to be close to you because you need to be wiping down probably, I'm not gonna say every minute, but you need to be wiping down your counters and everything often. And me and that red bucket, we were like that. So I just think that for ghost kitchens, food trucks and food trailers, and I'm not gonna out them, but I've been to some food trucks and food trailers and they don't have time to clean. They don't have the staff to clean. And if there's only 2 people, you're doing the cooking, and then you have a cashier maybe, because sometimes it's just you're doing the cooking and you're still the cashier. You need to make sure to have your water in your tanks to wash your hands. If you moving forward, if you go to a food truck or food trailer, whether it's in a festival or parked at some location on the side street, if that person doesn't wash his or her hands before they make your food and put on some new gloves, don't eat there. That means their water is not working.
I see that all the time where they don't have any sanitizer, they're not taking their gloves, or they're using their bare hands, and you can tell the buildups from hours. Like I get some foods like pizza, for example, you can make it with their hands. But like if you see like 2 hours of dough buildup on their hands, that's disgusting. Like clean your hands, dude. You're getting the sweat and stuff, and all that crap is mixing with the fresh product. Like you might not want to go to that fair truck at 8 p.m. if they've been open since 10.
Yeah.
Because they've been having a lineup with Zoo all day because they just haven't had time to clean, nor do they care to because they're so busy. Oh, I'm making money. I can't stop what I'm doing to wipe down a counter and wash my hands. That's wasting time. That's money I could be making. There's people with that mentality. You are 100% correct. That's disgusting. So yeah, definitely watch out for that, guys.
So I just wanted to bring that up, but that's another subject we could talk about for hours.
Yeah. I think we've been going 20 minutes about gross restaurants now.
We're
other...
not gonna touch that again. I don't know what you're talking about. Like I almost threw up multiple times. This is the last time we're touching that subject specifically.
What other things on that little pointer that you had on that reel.
Oh my God, we're gonna
It's fine.
talk one more
Oh,
point, and we're
legal.
making
So I think the
yeah.
last one was
Yeah, it was
legal.
a proper labeling and if it's legal. But I'm gonna tell you now, we are not in terms of gross kitchens and not ghost
Yeah.
kitchens, gross kitchens. We are not touching that.
You got to have the actual MSDS labels that actually go to your sanitizer bottle. Let's say that's in a bottle, and you're supposed to have a book if you're doing the bucket thing. Like you're supposed to have a book with all the chemicals you use. If not on your labels, you're supposed to really have both. And the legality of it is you can get in a lot of legal hot water with the health department, and then you could get sued for not cleaning up properly because you got someone sick. Don't be doing that, guys.
I'm
Getting
sick
people
just
sick is the
talking
worst.
about it. The hell you mean?
But yeah. But like you get sued over getting someone sick. It's the truth though. Like you're gonna get somebody sick and somebody's gonna sue over it, especially if a lot of people got sick and a lot of people get together and go talk to this lawyer who's willing to do it on contingency. You got a dozen people sick and they're gonna go talk to that lawyer on, about getting sick. They're probably gonna sue you in a class action. A dozen's enough in most places.
That man got me sick by talking all about this gross, nasty nonsense this whole time. I want to sue him because he won't stop talking about it.
Sorry, but like that's just the legal part of it. And then as far as the other legal end, make sure that you're properly listed as a DBA. I prefer LLC to protect yourself. Get the insurance that you're supposed to have with it. That's another expense. I mean, starting out small, probably go pay the $30 to $50 it typically takes to do a DBA. But once you start to grow, you better get that LLC and you better get the insurance to cover your butts. Yeah. So if your sales start to double what you initially started at, you probably should take that money and go do those things.
No, I agree. That when you're first starting out, you don't know how it's going to go. I think if you have, 1 to 5 items on your menu, you're thinking, you know what? I got like 5 cakes. I'm just going to sell those. You don't realize you become popular. And then you started out as a DBA. And like here in Florida for 5 years, I think it's $50 because I have a DBA for Mico the Entrepreneur. And I think I paid like $50 for so it's $10 a year, so 5 years. And this is my first year having it. So with me though, it's not food related. So I can stay as a DBA because I'm not going to hire any, I'm not going to have employees. It's just me and my own brand. But if you're starting any type of cart, kiosk, stand, food truck, food trailer, ghost kitchen, and you started out as a DBA, you do want to grow into an LLC, regardless if you have employees or not. Also, part of the legal, I want to bring this up too, when you're selling at a farmer's market, or if you're selling like direct to consumer, like at different events, you want to have the proper label of every ingredient in that cookie, in that cake, in that pie, in that lemonade, in that milkshake, or whatever it is, because I'm telling you, if someone is allergic, by the time someone come up to you and say, oh, what are the ingredients in your milkshake? And you're like, well, excuse me. Yeah. You're like, I use frozen yogurt, milk, and I don't know, cream. And then, but the frozen yogurt, because you're on a budget, you might not use a vegan friendly frozen yogurt. That frozen yogurt probably will have like 15 other ingredients they may be allergic to. The point I'm making is make sure you have all the ingredients of what you're selling when you're a ghost kitchen, because people need to know what's in it. And if you're not sure, then maybe don't make that item.
Most of the better ones
that you know what's included.
Yeah, most of the better ones I see at events and stuff will have, made around peanut butter or nuts. They've been exposed to them. they have dairy products, even if it's obvious it should be dairy because it's an ice cream spot, and ingredient list available upon demand. Like some people want to make sure something doesn't have some kind of fruit flavor, in it that they're allergic to. So let's say they're allergic to pineapple and this thing, oh, it has a pineapple juice mixture in it. Oh, I can't drink that.
Right.
You gotta cover your butt on that stuff. So, yeah, the yogurt list and stuff like that, like you were saying too. So, yeah, definitely cover CYA, cover yourself on that, and have, you know, or you can put up your website and there's whole ingredient list up there versus having a physical book.
Correct. And also, like, going back to the point about getting yourself like LLC'd and DBA'd and all that, make sure you're consulting with the qualified professionals in order to actually establish all of that properly, whether it comes to legal and your branding, and when it comes to getting your taxes done properly. Because again, this is a business. You don't know if it's going to be a massive hit or a total dump, but at the end of the day, it is still your business that you have to still pay taxes on, whether it's sales or 1099 or whatever that looks like. And you got to make sure that you're working with the proper professionals that are not going to cost way more than they should on that subject. And one of the partners that we have is Gig Tax that is here to help. Tax season may have passed, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't still stay diligent with your taxes and making sure you're properly strategizing for that. And we've partnered with Joseph Mayo, who is a seasoned gig worker as well as a seasoned entrepreneur. He actually has a lot of work in real estate and has built his own brand. Whether you're a gig worker who's looking to have their taxes done right, or a business owner who really doesn't want to allocate a lot of time to their bookkeeping and their taxes, make sure you reach out to Joseph Mayo, who is providing DIY prices for tax preparation services. Go to gigtaxservice.com/drivenwyld and use the code WYLD in all lowercase letters to access your special offering. And we are excited and looking forward to helping you secure your financial future. I'm sorry that I had to take the reins on that, but I wanted to make sure that was done.
No, you're good. Yeah, because especially with these ghost kitchens, once you grow, like we were saying, with your LLC DBA, you want to start filing quarterly and have someone in your corner that's going to help you out with that. And he'd be a great start because he understands our line of work and he could definitely help you out.
If you are a driver, customer, or merchant, or all three, you can find me at No Customers, No Business on YouTube. I also have two other channels, Doe Beverage and also Mico the Entrepreneur. I also have a Patreon channel. All that information will be at the bottom of this description, so you can click on those links. With the No Customers, No Business channel, I am growing that channel, so I appreciate if you subscribe to the channel, give me some comments, and give thumbs up to every video. Right now, I'm taking a break on doing content so I can re-strategize all three of my channels. And I just purchased some car magnets. So that's part of the advertising. So thank you to my Patreon members who donated every month for me to be able to purchase car magnets. I really appreciate it. Also, I just want to say, with being a Patreon member, it's a lot of information on that channel where you can join for free if you're not ready to go to the next step of going to one of the 3 tiers that I have on that channel. All money that receive, I tell people and I show you what I purchased. If you want to see something detailed, because you are a Patreon member, a paid Patreon member, and you're giving and you want to know where the money go, just reach out to me via email and I will get you that information. So I just want to be transparent about that, because I know a lot of times we give to not just Patreon channels, but we give to other nonprofit or other organizations, and they don't tell you what they're doing with the money, but I will. And I do a lot of promotion and advertising with the money that I receive to grow my brand. And that's pretty much it. Thank you, Joe and Budsoda, for having me on here and to keep inviting me back to have these discussions. These discussions, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you, Mico. We really enjoy having you on this ongoing continuing series. I love talking to entrepreneurs and business owners. I hope to get to talk to more. I have one I have in mind, but his schedule is always full. I just got to catch him where he's free for an hour. I can get him to agree to an interview. But check out our other videos based on that. We talked to pizza store manager, and as far as my channel, go to @Budsoda Stories. Catch our lives every Tuesday at 9 p.m. And if you want to donate, just slip up the logo. $Budsoda02 Cashapp. I am not monetized yet. Please help me out. Watch our previous live streams and catch Mico in the chat. She usually stops by, and it's always great interaction, guys. You can either stop by my channel or Joe's at Driven Wyld and check out both the chats. We can see the chats from our end, no matter which one you're on. So if you could help me out and get my watch hours up, I'd be very appreciative. Every Tuesday night at 9 Eastern, we always have great discussions. It's always a blast. We went about 2 hours last time, so definitely join us, all right?
Absolutely. And of course, like, make sure that you guys are checking out all of our previous live streams. Budsoda is not currently monetized. I don't, Mico, I'm not 100% sure. Actually, I think
just one channel.
One of yours is monetized. One of yours is monetized, but is not monetized.
Yes.
If you're going to donate, I appreciate donations, but make sure that you focus that on Bud, because he is the only one who's not there. Make sure you subscribe to all of our channels. All of those links are going to be in the description. And make sure you hit the like button. And we will see you guys next time.